Okay, facts first here on CNN.
Should parents expect schools to shut down?
I don't know.
Facts first on CNN, Don Lemon giving us a piece of his mind. Also, Christian and Muslim parents team up to fight the trans wokeists in their school board. China protests because of the lockdowns. Dr. Fauci not sure if schools need to lock down. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
The dingy bunker completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Monday, November 28th, the year of our Lord 2022. I think there were some mic issues in the beginning. I think we fixed that. So let me know in the comment section if we fixed the whole microphone situation. Wow, lot to get to. I want to get to this whole Christian and Muslim parents teaming up thing in Ohio. I think that's fascinating. But also, Don Lemon, how does that guy still have a job? I'm curious about that pretty much every single day. And also, the crazy lockdowns going on in China right now. Yes, I said lockdowns. And yes, it's because of COVID. Still, for some reason. But I want to get to this story first because I feel like this is a big, freaking fascinating thing. Christian and Muslim parents, which I don't know if you know this about history and about the way of the world, but oftentimes Christians and Muslims have not historically gotten along all that well. Some would say it's been rather contentious over the years. Nevertheless, some things are so awful and so weird that even the most ardent of enemies get together to combat it. That seems to be the case here with what's going on in Ohio. Muslim and Christian parents, this is from Fox News, Muslim and Christian parents sue Ohio school board over transgender bathrooms and locker room policies. So the transgender bathroom issue and the locker room issue, especially in schools, has gotten so bad that two combating factions of religious ideology are deciding to team up together to take it on. Oh man, this is fascinating. Ohio parents are suing their school board over the district's transgender bathroom policy, LGBTQ plus reading assignments, and sexual behavior surveys they claim were administered without parent consent. Let us know in the comment section if this is kind of happening in your neck of the woods. And I am curious too, would you, as a parent, team up with people, and I'm not saying that Christians and Muslims hate each other. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm curious where the line is. The person that you hate the most, would you team up with them in order to protect your kids? I would imagine that many people would say yes. But that seems to be the case in, wow, so they had sexual behavior surveys they claim were administered without the parents' consent. That's not cool. Not going to be cool for a lot of parents. A coalition of Muslim and Christian parents in Bethel, Ohio, with the help of the America First Legal Foundation, I believe, are suing the local school board over policy which allows students to use bathrooms and locker rooms based on their chosen gender identity, which the parents claim was implemented without public consent. Yeah, that would be a problem if that were me in that school district, and I can't blame the parents at all for trying to take action. Again, let us know in the comment section what you think about this. Let me pull up the comment section. We're kind of testing out some new things. I don't know if you noticed, we got a new desk. It looks old, and it is old. It's like 100 years old. It's a leather-bound desk. I'm very excited about it. Why am I talking about this right now? This is again from the article. The parents claim the rule, which could result in children using the same bathroom as peers of the opposite biological sex, is a violation of their parental religious constitutional rights and Ohio state law. The Bethel School District started to allow students to use facilities that align with their preferred gender identity, which is nonsense, after the faculty of the district proposed the change as of September 13th, 2021. Wow, so that's been going on for a while. I did read a little bit about this from the Twitter universe. The woke people on the internet have decided to push back on this and say, well, it's just not fair. Actually, this is why this was implemented. Shoot, it's not in this article. One of the reasons why it was implemented is because there were people, staff, faculty saying, well, it's not fair that the trans kids need to change in a different bathroom. Okay, so instead of having one person go off and change in a stall in whatever locker room, bathroom they're in, you're going to have every other person go into that stall who feels uncomfortable, which is pretty much everybody. Fascinating. Anyways, the bottom line here is that, again, two historically pretty at odds ideologies and people are now teaming up together to fight the crazy wokeness that's going on in Ohio, of all places. I don't know. I just think this is fascinating, and we'll see what comes of that. I would imagine they're going to win that lawsuit pretty handily. Wouldn't be super concerned about that. Let's see. Moving on to the next thing. Let me see what I want to get to first. Okay, yeah. Dr. Fauci is still making the rounds on the TV space. He was on Face the Nation this weekend, which we talked about it last week. Dr. Fauci had his last White House press briefing room press conference before he retires at the end of the year, yet he's still being paraded around on all of your media platforms. He was on Face the Nation over the weekend and said some things that it blows my mind that people still think this in 2022. And it reminds me of what's going on in China. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in China yet, stick around, because we've got a couple of videos of that, and we're going to talk about what's going on in China. They're locking down hard, like full-blown, welding people's doors shut again to keep them inside if they test positive for COVID, which, now, 3 years later, it blows my mind that that's still happening. Nevertheless, Dr. Fauci was asked about possible shutdowns for schools. Now, to be fair, I believe they were talking not only about COVID, but RSV and the flu, which are all now things. Because a lot of people say, because we masked so much and so often for so long, a lot of people didn't really get sick, and a lot of the other more traditional, is that the right term for viruses? A lot of the viruses that we were having had a chance to optimize and maintain their efficiency, I guess. Again, I don't know what the correct terminology is for viruses, but a lot of those diseases got a chance to stake their claim. And now that people are not wearing masks, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are like, what do you mean now? People haven't been wearing masks for 2 years now. But now a lot of those viruses are being able to spread freely. And so not only do we have COVID, which is a much more mild thing nowadays, thank God, people still get very sick, and that's terrible and sad, but the amount of people dying is down substantially. They have COVID, there's RSV, there's the flu, and a couple other things that are now spreading around. Nevertheless, Dr. Fauci was asked whether or not schools shut down, and this was his answer. This, again, will shock you coming from today's modern times, as opposed to, you're going to be like, wait, this was not 3 years ago? Excuse me. Check this out. Also, if you haven't already, this is my opportunity to let you know to please, if you wouldn't mind clicking the little like button that's down here in the little corner down here, especially if you're watching Facebook. That's where we keep the ball rolling here. Really appreciate you doing that. And also, if you wouldn't mind, the little share button or the retweet or the repost or the whatever it is on all of the different platforms that we're on. And yeah, would really appreciate you doing so. And let us know in the comment section too what you think. On the previous story, we talked about the Muslims and the Christians getting together to battle the wokes, and also Dr. Fauci. Never mind. Without further ado, it's been a morning. Here's Dr. Fauci on whether or not shutdowns should be implemented in schools. Check it out.
So coming out of the holidays, should parents expect schools to shut down?
I don't know, Margaret. I'm not sure. When you talk about shutting down schools, there's always the collateral
That's also
effects.
radioactive.
It is, exactly. There's always the collateral issue. So you have to balance, and you do it in real time, depending upon the viral load of disease in your region. Whether, the upper northeast may be quite different from the southwest, from the Pacific coast, from the upper northwest. So you have to have the local authorities evaluate on a situation by situation basis the potential collateral deleterious effects with the effects of what might happen if you have so many kids getting infected.
Yeah, so Dr. Fauci basically, bottom line there, said, yeah, I don't know, maybe we might have to shut down again. Yeah, it's a big fat no from freaking everybody. I wanted to get some of the comments. Let's see. Wow. So there's some people that, this was just a funny comment that I can't bring onto the screen because it's got some swear words in it. Basically, it says, everything is BS. Bullspit. Hilarious. Renee said, I did not do masks. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see. Bob said, didn't that quack? POS. I'm not sure what POS stands for. Post office service, maybe? Didn't he retire? Middle finger to the Faucinator. Let's see. Jewel said Fauci is a murderer and created the C, which, okay, I'm not going to go on and say he specifically created it, but he did deny the fact that the NIH sent a couple $1 million over to the Wuhan Institute of Virology to study the specific bat virus, which now everyone believes leaked from that lab that Dr. Fauci was sending money to. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now, but yeah, it seems to be the case. And I thought this was fascinating and kind of interesting to bring up. Darlene said, can't wait for him to go away and retire with his millions. I don't know if people, excuse me, missed the story a couple weeks ago, but Fauci and his wife increased their net worth by $5 million during the pandemic. Now, of course, everybody's finances went substantially higher. Everybody made more money, right? Is that your situation? Did you 10x your net worth during the pandemic? Or wait, was it just Dr. Fauci who made the rounds on all of the TV stations, wrote books, bought houses, invested in stock of jabs that he was taking or pushing? I don't know if people knew that. Did you guys, is that in the comment section, was that like a widely spread thing? Because I was not aware I don't know, that was pretty big in the circles that I run in, but it went pretty underreported. Yeah, Fauci and his wife's net worth increased by $5 million freaking dollars. At the risk of going on another tangent, there's actually some really interesting legislation that looks like it's going to get pushed through to Congress about government agencies and bureaucrats, not only Congress people, being allowed to invest or not invest in companies that they own, that they regulate. There's a lot of, in the same way that Dr. Fauci was able to invest accordingly in Pfizer and any other biotech companies. There's some legislation in Congress that not only Congress people, but also bureaucrats that are in charge of the agencies that regulate these companies. Yeah, you can't invest in those companies or short those companies. That's not cool. So yeah, there's that. Oh, speaking of lockdowns, okay, so I want to get to this before I get to the Don Lemon stuff. The Don Lemon stuff I think is funny. CNN, good old CNN. Facts first here on CNN, says Don Lemon. But speaking of lockdowns and COVID, China, holy crud. Which, okay, no, I won't get into that. China locked down hard and is continuing to lock down hard. This is, excuse me, oh my gosh. Sorry. It's dry here. It's dry in Southern California, so I don't know, coughing a lot. But China locked down hard over the weekend. Actually, the late last week, resurgence of COVID positive tests, and Xi Jinping, the dictator of China, not the president of the Chinese People's Republic of China, the dictator of China, is not backing down from his zero COVID policy. which I don't know, I think is fascinating. But this is from the Washington Post. The immediate trigger, okay, so first of all, they're talking about demonstrations here. There are a bunch of demonstrations going on throughout China, and we'll play this video first, and then talk about the lockdowns specifically, but watch this. This is just, again, some kind of clips of China going nuts within the streets during protests, which is not a cool thing to do if you're, okay, it's very cool. It's not cool in the guise of government if you're doing that in China. Check it out.
共产党！共产党！共产党！习近平！习近平！习近平！习近平！奉全制！奉全制！
All right, so what I'm told he's saying, because I don't speak Chinese, is he's saying down with the party, down with Xi Jinping, free Xinjiang, which I think is the other guy, the former prime minister or leader of China, whatever it is, that got escorted out of that big Chinese Communist Party shindig that they had. But anyways, so those are protests going on there. In this particular protest, here's what I thought was fascinating, because it does circle back to COVID lockdowns and the quarantine camps that people are going to. This is from the Washington Post. The immediate trigger for all of these demonstrations, which was also seen at universities in Beijing, Xi'an, and Nijing, I could be just butchering those words, on Saturday, was a deadly fire in Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang. So the Xinjiang province, Xinjiang province, there was a fire that went on in an apartment building, and in China, excuse me, 10 people, including children, died in that fire after emergency services could not get close enough to the apartment building that engulfed in flames. Residents, get this, blamed lockdown-related measures from hampering the rescue efforts. So there was a big old fire in an apartment building, and 10 people, including 3 children, all died. And the reason that the rescue services weren't able to get there is because lockdown procedures and COVID policy, which, again, gets back to this whole idea of China's zero COVID policy is still forcing pretty much the entire nation to lock down, not the entire nation, a bunch of the bigger, more populated areas to lock down. Officials on Friday, Chinese officials, denied that COVID restrictions were a factor and said that some residents' ability to rescue themselves was too weak. Oh, man, that's wild. So the official Chinese party came out, the officials there told journalists the ability for some people to rescue themselves was too weak. Wow. Fueling more ridicule that swept across China and across social media platforms. Residents in that city is one of the most tightly controlled cities in China as a result of the broader security crackdowns that turned into protests on Friday. Many waved China's national flag, calling for lockdowns to be fully lifted. So, just like in Iran and Russia, even there's some protests going on in Russia to end their invasion of Ukraine. But those are just like in China. It is not a cool place to go do that sort of thing. There's actual risk for people protesting in the streets, which I feel like is more commendable than people protesting in our streets, knowing that nothing is going to happen to them. Yeah, that's wild. There is a video. This video is pretty fascinating. This is floating around Twitter. This dude is holding up a sign kind of mocking, but also criticizing the efforts by the rescue people in this particular area in China for this fire. And he gets taken down by police for just being able to speak freely, which again we take for granted in this country. Check this out. This is a wild situation to be in if you're in China. Wow. So he's holding up a sign. This guy, yeah, she gets taken away. I don't know what was on the sign. She's taken away on a bus. Like, so China's like not unaccustomed to mass arrests at these sorts of stuff. Kate says, CCP, go to hell. Yeah, agreed. And then Tommy saying, yeah, they were welding doors shut. There's video of that. I didn't grab it because, again, I'm not great at this job. But yeah, the whole China lockdown stuff is gnarly. Anyways, let's see. I want to move on to this because and things on a little bit of a lighter-hearted note. Don Lemon. Anybody familiar with the work of Don Lemon? Don Lemon is a host on CNN, used to be the evening guy, one of the evening guys, and got bumped to the morning slots because nobody watched his evening show. And Don Lemon is bad at his job, which that's what the Kairos is. Don Lemon is bad at his job. The reason I say that Don Lemon is bad at his job is because he is bad at his job. Now, I'm not saying that I'm good at my job. I'm just saying he's bad at his. And he's got a bigger budget behind him and a big old team and a big old studio and a lot of money riding on whether or not he does a good job. Yet he continues to do a bad job. Don Lemon has been trading blows with Elon Musk. And I know there's probably a lot of people that are tired of Elon Musk. Or Elon Musk's stories, at least. A lot of people are super excited still that he owns Twitter. But some people are tired of that story, and I understand that. Nevertheless, the lefty freakout of the purchase of Twitter by the Tesla billionaire has been so fascinating. And watching twist themselves into pretzels is just been so fun to watch, so delicious to consume. Don Lemon did that last week when he was talking about Elon Musk, who tweeted or was responding to a tweet about the whole hands up, don't shoot thing. If you remember hands up, don't shoot, that was the Ferguson, Missouri, Michael Brown case in which an officer shot Michael Brown. He ended up passing away, and protests rang out through Ferguson and also through the country about police brutality. People saying, well, he had his hands up and was saying, don't shoot when he was shot. At least that's what some witnesses claimed, past tense claimed. Here's Don Lemon talking about hands up, don't shoot. And it is kind of interesting. So he says what he said. Okay, just watch this with this in mind, because I don't want to play this twice. Play it, explain it, play it. Watch how the first segment of it, he says, these right-wing talking points that say this. And then at the very, very end, he admits that the right-wing talking points were legit. Wouldn't you know? Check this out. Watch this from Don Lemon on CNN. I thought this was fascinating and just a really, really interesting peek into the culture surrounding this mainstream media bonanza. Also, if you haven't already, would really, really appreciate you clicking the little like button down here and the little share button. Really, excuse me, really, really appreciate you doing that each and every morning. Those of you who do, Regina said, sharing, heart. Regina, appreciate it. Yeah, really, really does help us out, keep the ball rolling. Let us keep doing this every single day. Appreciate you doing so. Yeah, just a little like button, a little share button, and let us know in the comment section what you think about Don Lemon on CNN or CNN as a whole. Check it out. Watch this.
In a now deleted follow-up tweet, Musk noted that the shirts came after the Ferguson protest and repeated a right-wing talking point suggesting that the protests following Brown's death were overblown. And he wrote, and I quote here, hands up, don't shoot was made up. The whole thing was a fiction. Now, Musk replaced the deleted tweet with a follow-up tweet containing only the link to a Department of Justice report on Brown's death. Okay, facts first here on CNN. Musk said that hands up, don't shoot was made up. The whole thing was a fiction. This needs some context.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up!
So the phrase hands up, don't shoot became a national rallying cry in 2014 in solidarity with Michael Brown. He's the unarmed black teenager who some witnesses said had his hands up to surrender when he was shot and killed by a white police officer, Darren Wilson. In 2015, the Justice Department cast doubt on the Hands Up account, concluding in a report that Wilson shot Brown multiple times only as Brown was moving toward the officer. This is what Musk is referencing in his tweets. The DOJ did not find grounds to charge the officer.
Isn't that interesting? So Don Lemon, again, trying to hit Elon Musk, saying, well, this needs some context. What Elon Musk is saying is, I don't actually know. And then at the very end, reminds people that, the DOJ in 2015 said, hands up, don't shoot, didn't actually happen. And also, thing to point out here, probably some of you are ahead of me, but who was in charge in 2015? It was the Trump administration, right? The evil Donald Trump administration was in charge of the DOJ in 2015, and therefore they released that report debunking hands up, don't shoot. Oh, wait, it was Barack Obama. Attorney General Eric Holder, if you remember, was the one that came out and said, the whole hands up, don't shoot thing didn't happen. And Elon was saying that, these protests were overblown. And considering the fact that it didn't happen and a lot of the media ran with it, chances are he was right. There's no way of definitively finding out if he was right, just because it's all kind of a subjective thing. Elon Musk saying, the protests for hands up, don't shoot was overblown because it didn't happen. And even Obama and Obama's DOJ and Attorney General Eric Holder all said, hands up, don't shoot didn't happen like the protesters say it did. That would warrant protests being overblown. Anyways, a lot of people in the comment section saying, Holder, Jabone says, Jaboni? Not sure how you pronounce that. Saying Holder's another dirtbag. And a lot of people pointing out, Barack Obama was in charge when they said that the hands up, don't shoot was not a real thing. Ryan, I don't know what this means. Ryan says, I just feel dirty whenever I look at Don Lemon. Okay, all right. I don't know what that means. Maybe you disagree with him. Very funny, regardless. Jules says, Lemon was demoted from nights to mornings. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that is funny. Wow, not a lot of people fans of Don Lemon here. Anyways, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Really excited about this desk. Got this brand new, very old desk from a neighbor of mine. Appreciate her giving me this cool little leather-bound desk. It needs some cleaning up. If anybody has any leather restoration products that I can kind of, do some stuff with here, I would appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section. That's going to do it for us today. Let's see. Any announcements? If you haven't followed me on social media platforms, especially Instagram, do so, because there's a fun question that's being thrown around. I am, and I'll say this because I guarantee you the people that are going to show up to this thing aren't going to know that I'm there. Charlie Kirk from TPUSA, good dude, fantastic speaker, is giving a speech in New Mexico on Wednesday. I will also be in New Mexico at said event, but I will be attending the counter protest that's taking place a couple hours before the Charlie event, in which people are literally, the flyer says, drown out the noise. Bring your pots and pans and whistles and anything to drown out his speech. Okay, but that is happening in New Mexico. I am taking requests of what to say to these people, as I will be amongst the protesters, saying as ridiculous things as I can. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can submit what you think I should say to these people, and mostly I will be making jokes. So there's that. So let's see. If you live in New Mexico, Albuquerque specifically, maybe we'll see you there on Wednesday. Let's see. Also, anything else? I don't know if I want to announce that yet. Interesting stuff happening next week, too. With this show, we'll still be doing this, but also doing filling in for another bigger name show on a bigger name network, which will be exciting. So looking forward to that next week. We'll kind of explain that a little bit more later on. We are getting into the time of the year where this show becomes, I don't want to say a little bit more sparse, but the travel schedule is bananas, is wild. So what I'm saying here is the ability to do this show each and every morning for the next 2 weeks is going to be rough. So some days we might miss. On Wednesday, I'm taking a flight to New Mexico. We'll probably do a show Wednesday. Not sure if we'll be able to get back to the studio in time on Thursday. Probably, maybe we'll do a show on Friday, but I'm also headed to West Palm Beach on Friday. Then I have a speech in Illinois on Monday, then coming back to San Diego to host it. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you don't see me over the next 2 weeks on any particular given day, I apologize. This is a tough ball to keep rolling, especially in this time of year. Also, last thing. If you live in the Phoenix area or want to go to Phoenix, TBUSA has America Fest going on. Not this weekend, not next weekend, but the weekend following that. Holy cow, it is a blast. And the only reason I mentioned that, well, other than the fact that you should go, is that they're having a huge, huge sale. Like $20 tickets plus my discount if you type in Jobob. It'd be like $15 to go to America Fest. A bunch of people are there. Tucker's there, Charlie's there, Candace Owens, I believe, is going to be there. Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Tim Pool, Steve Bannon, a bunch of people going, plus country concerts, worship night. Crazy fun. You should definitely go to TPUSA/AmpFest. Use the promo code JOBOB. You'll be able to save even more money. So if you haven't, go buy those tickets. Even if you don't even know if you're going to go, it's $15. Just buy the tickets. Again, use promo code Jobob, and just buy them. And if you can make it, great. If you can't, that's fine too. It doesn't make sense to not buy those tickets. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, before the travel schedule gets wonky. See you then. God bless America.